All right, guys, today we talked about percent, and we talked about how percent is a rate or a ratio out of 100, okay? So, first thing, when we're going to define percent, percent comes from a Latin word, and when we break it down, per means for every, and then the word cent means 100. So, when we are talking about percent, we're talking about the ratio for every 100. Okay, so for example, 60% means 60 out of 100. 35% means 35 out of 100. 115% would mean 115 for every 100. Now, when we talk about percent, it's not necessarily talking about 100 items. So for example, on a quiz or a test, you guys are going to get a percent out of 100. However, the quiz or the test isn't going to have 100 questions on it. So you might get an 18 out of 20 on your quiz, and what we do is we make a comparison to that out of 100. So that would be a 90 out of 100, and that's how we give you your 90%. Today what we're going to do is we're going to be illustrating percent on hundreds charts so we can see what it looks like out of 100. So what percent of the chart is shaded? So what we've got here is we've got a hundreds chart, which is just a 10 by 10 grid, and we've got to figure out the percent that is shaded. So to figure that out, all we would have to do is we would have to count how many blocks are shaded blue. They're in 10, so we've got 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70% is shaded blue because we have 70 out of the 100 blocks. All right, what percent of the chart is not shaded? So if we look at this chart, we can figure out the percent that is not shaded by counting how many blocks are not shaded blue. We have 10, 20, 30, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 35% of the chart is not shaded blue. All right, so let's try a few more. It says, show 50% on the hundreds chart. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to shade in 54%. So I'm going to shade in 5 whole 10 columns. So there's 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. And then I'm going to have to shade in 4 individuals. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4 individuals. So that is 54% shaded in. Okay. All right, so let's try a real world problem using our hundreds charts. Like this is what your assignment's going to look like for the most part. It says there were 100 pounds of apples harvested from an orchard. 25% of them were Red Delicious, 40 pounds were Golden Delicious, and the rest were Granny Smith. On the grid, represent each type of apple by pound and percent, and then how many pounds were Granny Smith. So we know that there was 25 Red Delicious. So the first thing that I'm going to do is put that on my grid. Here's 10, here's 20, and here's 5. That's 25% Red Delicious. Okay. Now I'm going to do the same thing for Granny Smith, for Golden Delicious, except it's 40 pounds. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's 40 pounds for Golden Delicious. And it says the rest were Granny Smith. So we've got to figure out what's left over. I've got 10, 20, 30, and then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 35% were Granny Smith because 35% were left over.